Part 10. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 91. Going to the movies alone, Cheng seemed to be chatting with her, asking questions while chatting with her. I pretended to be calm. That's right, it's not strange to go to the movies alone. Oh. Cheng narrowed his eyes and asked anxiously, what movie are you going to watch? I opened her mouth, but her voice seemed to be choked. Her face turned pale, and she suddenly realized that she had no idea what movie was showing in the latest schedule. Cheng smiled, why, I don't know what movie to watch. Look at whatever you want. I turned her face away, her tone was stiff. Her fingers were tightly twisted together, unaware that her nervousness had already been exposed to the man's eyes. Cheng smiled, didn't ask any more questions, and just said casually, if you want to watch a movie in the future, call brother. I breathed a sigh of relief. Where's your cell phone? Cheng asked suddenly. I's heart rose again. Mobile phone. She inhaled silently, her fingers clenched even tighter. I was robbed today, my bag was taken away, I also lost my mobile phone. She is like a child who has made a mistake. After admitting her mistake, she hangs her head in silence and assumes an honest attitude. After a while, there was no response. I raised her head apprehensively, only to see Cheng watching her quietly, with a smile that was not a smile. Muse's heart seemed to be beating by mistake, beating wildly several times. Be terribly upset. It's true, if you don't believe me, you can check it. She bit the bullet and defended herself. I met him on the bus, and there are surveillance cameras on the road. In this way, Cheng can't take his anger out on her, can he? You can't use this as an excuse to punish her, can you? Sure enough, Cheng didn't blame her, he just hugged her into his arms, patted her on the back lightly, and said softly, are you scared? Did the other party hurt you? I shook her head, he snatched the bag and ran away. Cheng comforted her, it's all right, don't be afraid. She is not afraid at all. She is just afraid of him. Cheng let go of her, went to the door of the hotel room, and gave some instructions to the people outside. When I came back, I asked her, do you want to go to the movies? I don't want to look. I lowered her head, sipping chocolate mousse, not looking at him very much, I want to go home. Cheng didn't say anything, came over and took her hand holding the small teaspoon, and squeezed it. The thin calluses between the fingers rubbed against the white and thin wrist, numb and slightly itchy. Couldn't help trembling, she was worried, and she pleaded in her voice, I really don't want to watch movies, I want to go home. She was really afraid that Cheng would come up with other tricks to torture her. Cheng pinched her wrist, pulled it to his mouth, and ate the mousse cake on the teaspoon. Well, I'll take you home later. He let go of his hand, licked the chocolate on the corner of his mouth, and smiled wickedly and tenderly. Musa stared blankly at the small teaspoon he had used, wondering if she should continue. Why don't you eat? Do you want brother to feed you? Cheng said lightly. No need, I swallowed, I'll eat it myself. Confronting Cheng, she will always be at a disadvantage. Whether it was the resistance on the bed or the mental tension, Musa exhausted her energy. She was hungry, and the food in front of her was quickly eaten up. The chocolate mousse is mellow and rich, with a smooth taste, sweet and bitter chocolate, not too sweet to be greasy. It is perfect with a cup of top-quality black tea. I leaned back on the chair and let out a comfortable breath. Sensing that Cheng was looking at her, he adjusted his posture and sat upright. Cheng is drinking coffee. He leaned against the back of the chair, his posture was lazy and casual, but it gave off an elegant and dignified feeling. The appearance is already handsome and extraordinary, and the temperament seems to be naturally graceful, suave, and romantic. It is simply a monster in the world, which makes people jealous. Seeing this, I felt a little angry for some reason. Such a perverted person, why did God give him such an outstanding skin? Heaven is unfair. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 92. After finishing a cup of coffee, Cheng still had no intention of leaving. I was very upset, but he didn't dare to urge him. Fortunately, the hotel rooms are very luxurious and there are many entertainment facilities, so she will not be bored. Not long after, Cheng's attendant came back, holding her bag in his hand. Yes, that's right, her bag. The lady's handbag that was stolen by the thief was actually found by Cheng's men. I's face turned completely pale immediately. Things that are stolen or snatched in the street are generally impossible to get back. Because these thieves change hands very quickly, what was stolen 1 minute ago has changed hands countless times a minute later. Even if the police are involved, they usually choose to go directly to the second-hand market to try their luck. But her bag was found. How did he do it? The bag was placed in front of Cheng, and he reached in. I's heart rose to her throat. He pulls out the car keys with the big ball of pom-poms on them. A soft pink leather wallet. A pack of facial tissues. Gone. These are the only things in the bag. I's heart finally let go. She thought to herself, Xian did not disappoint her. The thieves nowadays are quite individual, they don't take the money after they snatch the bag. Cheng casually opened the wallet, revealing several colorful banknotes inside. It looks like a dime is not missing. I. The entourage beside him bowed to offer a black velvet box, and Cheng took out something from it. It was an extremely tiny chip, smaller than a fingernail, as thin as a piece of paper. It's okay if you lose your phone. Cheng's tone was rarely serious, but brother will be very worried if he can't find you. I pursed her lips, staring at the chip in Cheng's hand. Is this a chip for tracking and positioning? It's so small that it can be easily hidden anywhere. If Cheng sneaks into her bag or puts this kind of thing in her shoes, she won't be able to guard against it at all. I heard that this product has been widely used in pet ferrets recently, which can prevent pets from being lost. Cheng pulled her into his arms and put the chip in her palm, as if letting her appreciate the exquisiteness of modern technology up close. It took a minor surgery to get the chip implanted, approximately, in this location. He pressed lightly on her neck. It felt so good, I couldn't help but bow my head and kiss. However, the color on I's face disappeared in an instant. She froze. Cheng's words echoed repeatedly in her mind. Preventing the loss of pets, just a minor surgery, chipping. She thought of countless possibilities, but she never thought that Cheng would hide the chip in her body. The devil. The devil. He wanted to cut open her flesh, and bloody put the cold electronic chip into it like a master who is aloof and wants to keep track of the situation at any time. He really regarded her as a pet for fun. Since then, she has neither freedom nor human rights, not to mention her poor and humble self-esteem. She can't stand it. She really can't stand being treated like this. At this moment, I hated Cheng for the first time in her heart. If the meaning of rebirth is to be treated as a plaything, she will live a life worse than death. She would rather die. Tears gushed out and filled her eyes instantly, and she cried. Cry sad and hopeless. Why do you do this to her? Why let her meet Cheng? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 93. Murong Cheng was obsessed with her fragrant, soft, and supple skin, wanted to drink tea to his heart's content, but was obsessed with leaving traces to make her angry. At this time, she felt the delicate body in her arms trembling slightly, followed by hot tears falling down. Murong Cheng woke up from his desire, and saw the girl biting her lower lip tightly, tears streaming down her face. The sadness in her eyes almost broke his heart. "What's the matter?" he asked. Muzi just shed tears, with her white teeth sunk deep in her lips, a suppressed choke sound overflowed. Murong Cheng's heart ached so much that he put his arms around her and gently stroked her back. After coaxing for a while, he suddenly understood, and asked with a smile, "You think I'm going to implant a chip in you?" Muzi didn't speak, but there was strong fear in his eyes. She tried her best to suppress her crying, with a bit of stubbornness, not wanting to be too embarrassing in front of Murong Cheng. The more he treats her as a plaything, the less she can show weakness. She has a backbone. Backbone. It's just, the tears can't be controlled, and her fear of him can't be controlled either. Murong Cheng is really scary. She felt that her future was shrouded in darkness. Because of Murong Cheng's existence, she couldn't even see a glimmer of light. Murong Cheng laughed lowly, as if feeling helpless. He took a tissue and wiped her tears. "I won't do that, how can I be willing?" He would feel distressed even if her nails were broken, so how could he hurt her flesh? Murong Cheng didn't understand why Muzi had such thoughts. He obviously loved her so much. Muzi was still crying. She doesn't believe in Murong Cheng. Murong Cheng is a pervert who does all kinds of evil. He can do anything. Several paper towels were soaked. Murong Cheng didn't wipe it, and leaned up to kiss her eyelids, crying out her tears. Muzi who was crying was also beautiful in his eyes. Those vivid eyes were soaked with tears, like colored glaze, and in the sadness, there was a different kind of charm. He is fascinated by her. "Little fool, how can I take what I said casually?" Murong Cheng put his arms around her and kissed her again and again. The words of love naturally revealed, "The chip is for you, and whatever you want in the future, brother will give it to you." Muzi cried hard, sobbing, "I don't want anything. I don't want your chip either." "That's impossible." Murong Cheng smiled, "My woman, I must know where I am at all times." "But I'm not your woman," Muzi choked up and retorted. Murong Cheng's face darkened slightly. Zizi feels that she is not worthy of her name. "I can make you truly my woman right now." Muzi was so frightened that she didn't dare to talk back to him, only tears could not stop. "Okay, baby, don't cry." Murong Cheng was amused, but also a little helpless. "I won't touch you, and I won't implant a chip in you. You're so delicate. Why are there so many tears?" He nibbled her snow-white earlobe, and whispered, "Is there so much water there?" Muzi trembled violently, her face turned pale. Murong Cheng has never been vegan when he speaks. Under his noble and handsome skin, he is a vile and shameless villain. Muzi felt that she was doomed. She couldn't beat Murong Cheng. She even had the idea of running away. She didn't want to investigate the truth or the murderer. As long as she can stay far away from Murong Cheng, she wants to go far away now. Murong Cheng took out a platinum necklace from the black velvet gift box. A heart-shaped pendant hangs in the middle of the necklace, and with a flick of the pendant opens, revealing the interlayer inside. It turned out that the chip was going to be put into the necklace pendant. Murong Cheng helped her put it on. The heart-shaped pendant fell between the collarbone. The silver halo set off the snow-like skin, smooth and delicate. "Don't lose it again, you know." Murong Cheng touched her face. Muzi nodded tearfully. Not only did she not dare to lose it, she even dared not play with her cleverness. Unless she is absolutely sure that she can escape his clutches. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 94. The necklace given by Murong Cheng is simple but exquisite in style. When worn on Mu Zi's body, it makes her snowy neck more delicate and her skin delicate. But Mu Zi felt like she was wearing a pet collar. Bondage, suffocation, not freedom. They came out of the hotel room and took Murong Cheng's private elevator, avoiding the crowds and others. When the elevator door opened, Musa found her car parked outside. Her little cutie has taken on a whole new look, and it is parked next to Murong Cheng's black Rolls-Royce at the moment, one black and one pink, particularly eye-catching. Are the services of today's Ford stores so good? Send it directly to the customer after the maintenance is over? Don't think about it, it must be Murong Cheng's handwriting. This is the third sister-in-law's car. Murong Cheng had a playful smile in his eyes. Why is it in your hands? Brother gave it to me, Mu Zi whispered. For you, Murong Cheng smiled narrowly. You really didn't ask for it? Mu Zi pursed her lips and did not answer. Even if she didn't say it, he knew it well. Murong Cheng took her hand, put it to his lips and pecked, and got into the car together. However, Mu Zi sat in the co-pilot's seat. When Mu Zi noticed that Murong Cheng was sitting in the driver's seat, he couldn't help feeling a little anxious. This is her car. The interior has just been replaced, maintained, and cleaned. She hasn't had time to open it yet. Mu Zi grabbed his arm. What are you doing? Murong Cheng looked at her with raised eyebrows. Go home. Then you go in your own car. Mu Zi felt that this was wrong. Why should Murong Cheng drive her car? Zizi can drive. Murong Cheng seemed a little surprised, looking at her in surprise. When did you get your driver's license? She was suddenly speechless. Musa doesn't know how to drive and doesn't have a driver's license, so she should just sit in the passenger seat honestly. She closed her eyes and suppressed her emotions. No. I just know a little bit. It doesn't matter if you don't. Murong Cheng touched her face. My brother will teach you how to drive in the future. Mu Zi turned her face away. The car drove out of the underground parking lot of the hotel. The light outside was warm orange, and Mu Zi realized that it was dusk. The road is gold-plated by the setting sun, and the wind blows, taking away the heat of midsummer. Two black luxury cars followed closely, like the most loyal guards. Their car left the main road of the city, and the scenery on both sides gradually became desolate and lonely. Mu Zi felt something was wrong. This is not the way home. She became nervous and asked Murong Cheng, aren't we going home? Well, I want to go home. Murong Cheng smiled. It was to go back to his home, not Mu's. Mu Zi understood some information from his inscrutable smile, and immediately took a breath. She felt that the temperature in her body was losing, the chill was flowing, every drop of blood seemed to be frozen, it was icy cold. He is already so unscrupulous outside. If she gets to his lair, will she still have a way out? I want to go home. Mu Zi's voice was trembling. Mom will be worried. Don't worry, I will tell Mom to take you to another province. Murong Cheng held the steering wheel with one hand and touched her face with one free hand. Zizi, I miss you very much these days. Be good. Stay with me well. Mu Zi would not naively think that the so-called companionship is simply drinking tea and chatting. She doesn't want it. She was fed up with Murong Cheng's perverted desire to control. But does she have the right to say no? Mu Zi bit her lips so tightly that she turned white. In his mind, he was desperately thinking about any hope of escape. Boom. Suddenly a gunshot shot straight through the window. The bullet almost hit her hair. Embedded deep into the side of the seat. Get down, Murong Cheng said decisively, reached out and pushed Mu Zi's head down, and slammed the steering wheel with the other hand. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 95. The car shook violently, and when the accelerator was pressed to the bottom, it was almost flying. Muzi huddled under the car seat, hit her head in the violent bumps, and stared at her instantly. Her ears were filled with the sound of gunshots and the screeching of cars braking. The sound was deafening. The car turned sharply and stopped abruptly. She rolled in the car in embarrassment, making her dizzy. However, before he could catch his breath, Murong Chen dragged her out of the car. Muzi couldn't figure out what happened at all. Murong Chen dragged her to hide in the woods on the side of the road. There was a hail of bullets behind her. Not only the other party was shooting, but Murong Chen's people were also shooting. This is literally a shootout. In panic, a cold and hard object was stuffed into his hand. It was a gun. Murong Chen gave her a gun. "Stay here, don't come out, shoot if anyone comes over." He kissed her forehead, and quickly pulled away to leave. Muzi's palms were covered with cold sweat. She had learned how to shoot, but that was a shooting training ground. He was wearing protective earmuffs, he was shooting a remote control target, and Zhang Ci was talking and laughing with her. She has never experienced such a scene. The job of a prosecutor is to investigate, file a case, and go to court, not to fight face to face with ferocious gangsters. Even if she encounters danger during the investigation, she has agile criminal police by her side, so she will never fall into such a dangerous situation. It's all because of Murong Chen. Murong Chen will kill her sooner or later. Gunshots rang out in front of her, and her pink Hummer was almost smashed into a sieve. But right now Muzi has no time to feel sad for her cutie. She tried her best to cover her body to avoid being hit by the bullets that pierced through the air. The woods on both sides of the road are just green belts along the way, not dense virgin forests, and there is no way to completely cover a person. Soon, Muzi felt someone approaching rapidly behind her. She clenched the gun in her hand and rolled on the ground suddenly, and the people behind her rushed into the air. However, the next moment, the other party grabbed her feet. Muzi's fine hairs all stood on end. With almost no time to think, he shot behind him with his backhand. Boom! The bullet hit the man in the shoulder. As if he didn't know the pain, the hand holding Muzi didn't feel loose at all. Instead he pulled hard, dragging Muzi to the front of him. He strangled her with one hand. Muzi's hand holding the gun was twisted and dislocated. The sharp pain made her let out a muffled groan. This is a professionally trained killer. For a moment, this idea popped up in Muse's mind. Her fists and kicks to control the enemy, as well as this immature body, are not enough to fight against professional killers. The other party obviously wanted to make Murong Chen feel scruples by holding her hostage, but is this possible? Muzi didn't think that Murong Chen would put himself in danger for her sake. She wants to save herself. She was dragged by the other party and walked out of the woods, the cold muzzle of the gun pressed hard against her head. The dense gunfire outside gradually became sparse, and the battle was coming to an end. Muzi saw Murong Chen, who was being covered by his subordinates. His marksmanship is so sharp that he almost hits the bullet. There was a faint smile in the corner of his mouth, and his evil charm was extremely mad, as if this attack on him was just a childish and ridiculous farce. Muzi suddenly felt ashamed. She has become a burden to Murong Chen, whom she hates and hates the most. She saw a clump of oblique tree branches in front of her, and she had a plan in her mind, and wanted to use the branches to escape. She bit her lip, endured the pain of dislocation, and was calculating the best time, but Murong Chen was faster than her. In the night wind, that arrogant and unruly man raised his gun at her. Boom! You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life. Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 96. The warm liquid exploded on the side of Muzi's face. She saw a mass of blood and flesh flying out, but she didn't have time to look at it, because even the eyelashes were covered with the sticky substance, which was hot and smelly. The hostage behind him fell to the ground with a bang. Muzi staggered 2 steps, raised his hand to wipe his face. Hands full of red and white brains. He blew out that person's eyeballs and splashed her brains all over her face. Her face is full of dead brains. Even got on the lips. Muzi couldn't take it anymore. She threw up while holding the tree trunk behind her. Her stomach convulsed from throwing up, and tears flowed from her eyes. The gunshots had stopped at some point. The man walked up behind her, stroked her back lightly, and coaxed, "It's all right, it's all right. Fine. Now there are dead people all around, is this all right?" Muzi didn't want to be touched by this plague god, but she was exhausted from vomiting and didn't have the strength to slap his hand away. Murong Cheng fired several shots at the dead man on the ground. He smashed the opponent's face. The ground was covered with sticky blood and brains like tofu dregs. The eyeballs were hanging out of the eye sockets, and they were shocked by the gunshots. It was funny and horrifying. Muzi really couldn't stand this heavy-handed scene, and almost screamed hoarsely, "He's already dead. So stop doing such disgusting things, okay?" "I know." Murong Cheng put away the gun, and his voice was soft. "This is a rule, so that the face cannot be identified, so as to avoid implicating their family members. As a killer, it is usually necessary to sever the 6 relatives, but it is inevitable that their family members will be found by the police after the accident. The life of the unknowing relatives is clouded, and what is even more frightening is that it may attract the enemies of the past to seek revenge." Muzi didn't know what to think. He smashed someone's face, but he was doing good deeds. She turned her face and took a deep breath, not wanting to see the miserable situation on the ground, but even her breathing was full of the fishy smell of the dead. Her stomach was churning violently, but she couldn't vomit anymore, and retched for a while, which made her feel even more uncomfortable. The attack lasted only a few minutes, but Muzi will never forget it. Those who attempted to ambush Murong Cheng were all dead, and 2 people were also killed on Murong Cheng's side. Wang Zhan was arranging people to deal with the aftermath. From the well-mannered and calm expressions of these people, one can tell that this kind of assassination is commonplace for them. The Huo family is a veritable gang-related organization, but with the legalization of the gaming industry in recent years, the Huo family's casinos have blossomed everywhere, and the so-called gang organizations have gradually become whitewashed and become the famous Huo family group. But no matter how much you wash it, the roots of the Huo family are still black. When Murong Cheng worked for the Huo family, beatings and killings were unavoidable. Things like today may happen frequently in the future. On the other hand, if the members of the Huo family wanted to target anyone, no one would be able to escape. Muzi's heart sank more and more. Murong Cheng carried her back to his car. Muzi's pink Hummer was riddled with holes, it was almost scrapped, and could no longer be driven. Her little cutie, just a few days after getting it, was scrapped because of Murong Cheng. Muzi didn't even feel like asking questions. She sat in Murong Cheng's arms in a daze, her expression almost dull. As if he wanted to comfort her, Murong Cheng kissed her hair and cheeks, and gently stroked her stiff limbs. However, this kind of appeasement has no effect on Muzi. She felt Murong Cheng's lips touch hers lightly, and thinking of the blood and brains on her face turned paler and she felt extremely cold. How is his kiss different from drinking blood and eating marrow? Don't, Muzi shouted in despair. She has had enough. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 97. If she was still thinking about luck in the past, then today she finally fully understands Murong Cheng's brutal tyranny. She can't afford to provoke this man. If she continues, her end may be even more tragic than that faceless corpse on the ground. Murong-chan, Murong-chan, can you let me go? Mu-Zi begged bitterly, almost letting go of all her dignity to beg him. I'm your sister, I just want to go to school, get into a good school, live well, please don't treat me like this. Zizi, you're just scared. Murong-chan was considerate of her, and gently stroked her back. Today was an accident, no one can kill me, and no one can hurt you. Mu-Zi felt that Murong-chan was too arrogant. This kind of assassination, life and death are in the blink of an eye, he is so sure that no one can kill him, so arrogant. Maybe next time, she will be killed by an inexplicable sniper with him. Thinking of her own situation, Mu-Zi was heartbroken and her voice choked up. Why must it be me? You have so many women, isn't it enough? Murong-chan, you can't even bully your own sister. She looked at him with tears in her eyes, and persuaded her sincerely, brother, I am your sister, please let me go, although I am an adopted daughter in name, who can guarantee that we are not related by blood? Look at us, they actually look a bit alike. Murong-chan laughed loudly, my little darling, this is called husband and wife portrait. He smiled, pinched Mu-Zi's face affectionately, and said, even if there is a blood relationship, my brother can't bear to part with you, Zi, you are so cute. Seeing that no matter what he couldn't convince him, Mu-Zi finally burst into tears. Murong-chan. You bastard. You pervert. Murong-chan put his arms around her and coaxed her in a low voice, okay, I'm an asshole, I'm a pervert. Zizi, even if I am a pervert, it is because of you that I am a pervert. Be good, and I will love you in the future. Mu-Zi sobbed with tears, I don't care for your pain. I don't want to be with you. However, Murong-chan seemed determined, no matter how much she cried, she never let go of her promise. He hugged her tightly all the time, patiently wiped her tears over and over again, patted her on the back, and performed the tenderness to the extreme. Mu-Zi was tired from crying and fell asleep in Murong-chan's arms. The cheeks washed by tears were stained with blood, dirty like a little tabby cat. Looking at her sleeping face peacefully like a child, Murong-chan felt at ease, but also felt a little heavy for no reason. He lowered his head and kissed the tears in the corner of her eyes, and a dull sigh escaped from his lips. The woman he loves doesn't love him, which is undoubtedly depressing, especially, he doesn't know how to get her love. Or maybe he knew it, but didn't bother to do it. Because he used to despise Mu-Zening's humble figure and vulgar show of love when he pursued her. Murong-chan couldn't do that. But so what? She is already his, completely belongs to him alone, right now, at this moment, right now, she is in his arms. Thinking of this, Murong-chan subconsciously tightened his arms around Mu-Zi. No matter how reluctant she was, she couldn't leave him. But, will she fall in love with someone else? Like Mu-Zening? She agreed to Mu-Zening's marriage proposal, perhaps in her heart, Mu-Zening is different. Thinking of this, Murong-chan's eyes were filled with gloom, and he began to regret that he didn't decisively get rid of Mu-Zening back then. Will she fall in love with Mu-Zening again? This question lingered in Murong-chan's mind, he had no confidence in himself. Mu-Zi thought he was arrogant, but in fact, in front of her, his heart was already extremely humble. Humble to the dust. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu-Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HhandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 98. Because of this unexpected sniping, Murong-chan didn't insist on taking Mu-Zi to his residence, and the other party's men would lie in ambush halfway, which meant that his residence had been exposed and was no longer safe. Murong-chan sent Mu-Zi back to Mu's house. This is also one of the reasons why he has always retained his status as a dandy. At least when he was Murong-chan, there would be no assassination, no ambush, and no hostile forces trying to harm his mother or sister. His family will be safe. No one would have thought that the current head of the Huo family is actually a foreigner. Everyone thought that the mysterious Master Rong was Huo Rong. Murong Cheng called and told Bai Wei that he wanted to eat at home, so Bai Wei rushed out to buy vegetables. After dismissing Bai Wei, Murong Cheng carried the sleeping Mu Ziyi back to the room, scrubbed briefly, and changed into pajamas. The dislocated wrist was reattached, and the scrapes on the skin were medicated one by one. After such a toss, Mu Ziyi couldn't wake up. She was sleeping too deeply, which is not a good thing. Once he fell into a deep sleep, it seemed that he would never be able to wake up again. This was a sign that his soul had not been fully nourished, and Murong Cheng was very worried. He remembered the three-eyed crow that Du Hao mentioned, and hoped to send it over as soon as possible. When Mu Ziyi fell asleep, Murong Cheng made 2 phone calls. One call asked about the results of the investigation into today's assassination, and the other called to find out why Mu Zening came back suddenly. He always cared about Mu Zening. It stands to reason that Mu Zening should be worrying about the branch office right now, so he shouldn't be back so early. This matter is not a secret, and the result will be found out soon. It turned out that Zhang Huan, the young master of the Zhang family, had encountered a lawsuit, and Mu Zening came back this time to help Zhang Huan. The Zhang family and the Mu family are family friends, especially when Zhang Huan and Mu Zening grew up together. Mu Zening should come back both emotionally and logically. If Su Ziyi was still alive and something like this happened, Mu Zening would definitely turn to Su Ziyi for help. No one has more authority than the words of the prosecutor. But Su Ziyi was gone. Who would Mu Zening look for? Probably Jiao Jingjia, the new prosecutor, or Mu Rongxian? Although he works in the general office, the specific work has little to do with legal matters, but after all, he is in the Judiciary Bureau and knows many legal workers, so he may be able to help. Murong Cheng was happy to see it succeed. He hoped that Mu Zening and Jiao Jingjia could get closer, and even closer, the closer the better. Mu Ziyi slept until 8 o'clock in the evening before waking up. She opened her eyes. The room was dimly lit. She only saw Murong Cheng leaning against the bay window. The cold starlight outside the window shone on his outline, making his facial features more profound and handsome. He had already changed his clothes, and his white shirt glowed blue under the starlight. His silent look with downcast eyes did not show the vulgarity in the usual times, but was dignified, elegant, and elegant. Mu Ziyi couldn't help thinking, there is no more handsome man than Murong Cheng in this world. There is no man more perverted than Murong Cheng. Are you awake? Murong Cheng noticed her gaze and looked up at her with a gentle smile in his eyes. Mu Ziyi ignored him, and slowly sat up with her body propped up. She soon realized that the dislocated wrist had been reattached, and changed into her pajamas herself. Mu Ziyi's face couldn't help turning pale. It was obvious who changed the clothes for her. Let's go downstairs to eat, Mom has been waiting for us, Murong Cheng said. In the dining room downstairs, Bai Wei had already prepared a table of good dishes. Some dishes were cold, so Bai Wei reheated them. She saw her sons and daughters going downstairs, looking at Musa worriedly. Your brother said that today on the road, your car was hit and your hand was dislocated. Are you feeling better now? Do you really not need to go to the hospital anymore? Mu Ziyi was startled, then lowered her head and gave a soft hum. Bai Wei is so easy to deceive, she will believe Murong Cheng's casual nonsense. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life. Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 99. Zizi has been in the hospital enough times recently. This time there is nothing serious, so don't go to the hospital again, Murong Cheng said lightly. Bai Wei took it for granted, turned her head and said to Mu Ziyi, your hand bone has just been attached, don't force it for now, Mom will feed you. Muzi wanted to say that she could use her left hand, but her mother had always loved her so much that she had already picked up the bowl and chopsticks. All the dishes are Muzi's favorite. After eating for a while, Murongcheng said, "Mom, is there any soup in the kitchen?" Bai Wei hurriedly got up and hurried to the kitchen. "I forgot, there is still soup in the pot." As soon as Bai Wei left, Murongcheng took over the work of feeding. Muzi hated him, turned her face away, and refused to eat the food he fed. "Eat it with a spoon, or let me feed it with my mouth," Murongcheng threatened her. Murongcheng has no lower limit, even in front of Bai Wei, he might be able to do this kind of thing. Muzi swallowed a mouthful of food, and taunted him coldly, "What kind of man is bullying women?" Murongcheng leaned closer and bit her ear, "Zizi, he is a real man who can bully women." "Dirty," Muzi scolded him, bit the spoon hard, and ate the food forcefully. Bai Wei came back with soup. Muzi drank another bowl of soup, said she was full and wanted to go back to her room to rest. She just woke up not long ago, and now she doesn't feel sleepy, she just wants to avoid Murongcheng. After returning to the room, Muzi heard Murongcheng's footsteps. She was very nervous until the sound of footsteps passed by the door and went straight downstairs. She gently walked to the door, opened the door a crack, and heard Bai Wei complaining downstairs, "It's already night, why is it so urgent that I can't deal with it tomorrow? Are you coming back tonight?" Then there was the metallic sound of the door lock opening and closing again. Murongcheng left. He was assassinated today, so he must go to investigate now. Maybe he needs to report the matter to that wrong yet. Muzi was slightly relieved. At least for the next few days, Murongcheng will be very busy. Once he was busy, he had no time to torture her. The next day, Muzi and Bai Wei's cheongsams were ready, and the people from Lujiang made a special trip to deliver the clothes to Mu's house. All kinds of patterns, some are dignified, some are charming, some are pretty, some are elegant, each one is astonishingly beautiful, and it is suitable for wearing on Muzi without exception. With beautiful clothes to wear, Muzi's mood finally became clearer. Although these clothes are all paid by Murongcheng, Bai Wei is also in a very good mood. Since the death of old Master Mu, she has hardly dressed up, and she wears simple and low-key clothes every day. Today, she is dressed in such a dignified and elegant way, as if she was a noble wife from a famous family. There is no doubt that Bai Wei is a good woman, she is beautiful, and she is not greedy for vanity. She doesn't go shopping, doesn't go to beauty salons, and doesn't even know how to play mahjong, which is popular among wives. She does housework and studies recipes at home every day. She is so virtuous. Sometimes Muzi really can't figure out why Bai Wei wants to be the mistress of Mrs. Mu. The maid who was close to Bai Wei boasted, "Ms. Bai and Ms. Muzi are dressed like a pair of sisters. It's time to take a photo, they must be beautiful." Bai Wei smiled embarrassedly and said, "What sisters, I'm already this age." However, Muzi used to be eccentric, and the mother and daughter hadn't had a photo together in these years, and Bai Wei was a little moved by the maid's words. "Go to the garden and take pictures," Muzi said with a smile, "I'll get the camera." Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 100. For a beauty like Bai Wei, Muzi really felt that she should take more photos to commemorate her. She is nearly 50 years old, but she looks like she is in her early 30s at most. If she dresses up more tenderly, it is not surprising that she is in her 20s, and she is more stunning than any popular beautiful witch on the internet. The garden of the Mu family has a beautiful view, the artificial lake is shimmering, and there are various kinds of flowers and trees. Wherever you go, you will find the scenery. Bai Wei asked the maid to help her take a group photo with Muzi, and then the two took some solo photos. Muzi's photography skills are slightly better, and she soon took on the role of a temporary photographer, directing her beautiful mother to pose in various poses. "Mom, let's change into the cheongsam with the crabapple flower." Muzi pointed at a crabapple tree in the garden, playing with great enthusiasm, "Standing here to take pictures, the crabapple is better than the crabapple, it must be more beautiful than the flower, it's too beautiful." Bai Wei was blushed by her daughter's words, and couldn't bear Muzi's soft and hard feelings, so she went back to change clothes with small steps. Muzi looked at Bai Wei's back, smiled, walked to the stone bench under the tree and sat down, holding the camera in her arms to play back the photos she took just now. Some were out of focus or closed eyes, so Muzi deleted those. Voices were heard not far away. Muzi looked up, it was Mu Zhenning. As for the person beside him, Zhang Huan? She recognized Zhang Huan. At her wedding with Mu Zhenning, Zhang Huan was the best man. She had always had a good impression of him. Among the children of the rich family, Zhang Huan is rare to keep himself clean, maybe it has something to do with his family environment. Jiang's mother is a professor at a famous university in China, Jiang's father is the Secretary General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and Zhang Huan himself is a teacher at Grey International School. The Zhang family can be regarded as a scholarly family. Mu Zhenning and Zhang Huan talked while walking, not paying attention to the person under the tree. "Unfortunately, Jingjia is not in the city today. I will take her to visit tomorrow and discuss the matter in person, so as to reassure my uncle and aunt." Mu Zhenning said, "I will also ask my elder brother to help find some lawyers. Don't worry too much, things will work out." Zhang Huan sighed deeply, "I have already found many law firms, but no lawyer is willing to take this case. Even Rongan Law Firm, which is one of the best in the industry, mainly proposes mediation." Mu Zhenning patted him on the shoulder, "I believe in your character, that female student must have lied, it is impossible for you to rape your own student." Muzi had no intention of eavesdropping, but she didn't want to interrupt them. Now that she suddenly heard Mu Zhenning say that Zhang Huan was raped, she couldn't help but gasp in surprise. The subtle sound attracted the attention of the two men, they looked over and saw Muzi under the crabapple tree. She was wearing a dark green cheongsam, which almost blended with the lush green scenery in the garden, so neither of them noticed her just now. The dark green color is heavy and looks old-fashioned, but the embroidery patterns are unique. White tea flowers are blooming all over her body, which is smart and graceful, magnificent and bright. Sitting there quietly, she set off against the gorgeous crabapple flowers behind her, and she was extremely stunning, like a flower demon transformed into a human being. Both Mu Zhenning and Zhang Huan were taken aback. After a while, Zhang Huan asked, "This is?" Mu Zhenning came back to his senses, and hurriedly introduced, "This is Muzi, my sister." The old man of the Mu family has several sons, when did he add a younger sister to Mu Zhenning? Just as Zhang Huan was about to ask, he suddenly remembered that the Mu family indeed had an adopted daughter who was not well known. "However, I didn't expect that this adopted girl would be so good." "Hello." Muzi smiled, suddenly she had an idea.